This is Big Poppy Racing. Welcome back to the finals of the Fat Track Free-for-All. We started with 240 cars. We're down to 32 for a double elimination tournament. Every win in the winner's bracket will get you 10 points per car. Every win in the loser's bracket will get you 5. Here's our first set of 8. Your Nightmare Racing's Carbonite will take on Po' Boy Racing's Chevy Silverado to start off. Here's how they're laid in to race each other for the first set here. We're going to do the whole winner's bracket first. So here we're set and go, and off we go. They're even into the turn. The Chevy gets ahead, pushes. Carbonite trying to get by. Not able to at this point. Let's see if he will not. And the Chevrolet Silverado will take a 1-0 lead on the number 1 seed, Carbonite. This time the Carbonite's out for second heat, and he's way ahead. And if he can stay on the track, nothing's going to stop him this time, and he will not be stopped. So we're tied up 1-1. The winner will proceed on. The loser will go down to the loser's bracket. Here we are through 1. Carbonite turns the Chevy. Goes through 2, and if the Carbonite stays on, oh no, he's come off right before the end of the track. The Carbonite came off. Oh goodness. Can see here, just too much weight and power. Chevy advances. Next up, we've got Red Road Rage Racing's Midrift and DXP's Ferrari F40. Several F40s in the finals. The F40 squeezes around and slows the Midrift down, but he loses it in the second turn. They're fighting each other out of 3, and the Ferrari will cross the line first, going up 1-0. Here's the second heat. Midrift down first to the corner this time. It's going to come down through 2. And if he's not stopped, which he will not be, easy win for the Midrift, tying up 1-1. So here we go. Who's going to advance? Both cars into the corner. The Ferrari fights around him and right now has the advantage. Midrift turns around, slows, and the Ferrari will advance on 2-1. Next up, here's Miss BFG's Ford Fairmont and H-Town Hustlers Ferrari F40. They go around. The Fairmont gets out of 1 ahead, goes through 2, and looks like she will not be stopped for the first win. So she takes heat 1. Swap the lanes. Here we go for heat 2. Fairmont first into the curve, comes out, turns around. The Ferrari gets around. They're both backwards now. Going around, the Fairmont passes again, and the Fairmont will win on 2-0. Next up, another entry from Miss BFG, her Ferrari F40. And R&R Rhett's Aston Martin Vantage. The Ferrari out ahead for lane or heat 1, and we'll take the win easily. Sorry, can't even keep up with her. Trying to keep them, both cars in the frame if any way possible, but sometimes it looks like I am, but I'm not. The Ferrari out here in heat 2, and we'll take it 2-0 to advance on. Left the Vantage up in the backside. So let's look at the second set of 4. Looks like Rivera Racing's Murata is the high-ranking one out of this group. Let's get to the first race. Rivera Racing's Murata and Po' Boy's F40. Here's the lineup of how the cars will race each other. And let's get going with heat 1. Down they go. The Murata's the first to the corner. Through it, no problems. A little rough on both cars out of 1, but she goes out of 2 and out of 3, and Rivera will take the first heat 1-0. Swap lanes. Here we go, 2-0. The Murata, the first out of the track, down the heat, through 1, through 2. Stays on the track. We're in good shape. She does and advances 2-0. Next up is Red Pill's BMW M1 and Sandy Mac's Jaguar XJ220. The Jaguar around, but the BMW passes through 3, and the BMW will get a 1-0 lead on the Jaguar. Here's heat 2. Both of them even going into turn one. Looks like the Jag's going to get a nose ahead. It is, and it's going to squeeze out in front of the BMW for the moment. She done turns around, but the BMW pushes her across the line. So we've got tied here 1-1. Here's the rubber heat. The Jaguar is the first out of the turn. The BMW has the problems out of one, and the Jaguar will advance on 2-1 over the BMW. Next up is the Carbonite of Red Peel and Cut Rock Racing's Stinger. Carbonite's the first out of turn one, navigates turn two, turns around. Oh, the Kia tries to pass but climbs the Carbonite and pushed off the floor, or pushed off into the chair, actually. So the Carbonite's up 1-0. Not had one do that before. 1-0 for the Carbonite. He's the first out of one. He's the first out of two. He's going to hold his own, looks like 3, and he will advance 2-0 over Cut Rock's Stinger. Next up, here's Mr. BFG's Speed Bump and Scale Racing's Solaire CX4. They're through the curve. Speed Bump's out ahead right now in 1 out of 2, coming around 3, and Speed Bump will advance, take a 1-0 lead. We change lanes. This time Speed Bump's first into the curve, tries to cut the Solaire off, but it will not have it. And if he can stay in the track, he's going to tie it 1-1, leaving the Speed Bump up on the side of the track. So here we are, 1-1. Winner advances in the winners. The loser goes to the loser's bracket. Solaire's out in front, out of 2. Nice smooth race. Speed Bump loses it out of 2. Solaire will advance 2-1. So let's look at our next set of cars. Here's Your Nightmare Racing 67 Mustang. He's the high seed car in this group. So he's going to be taking Nick Deaver's Ferrari F40 on first. Here's the layout like they're supposed to look here. And let's get to racing. Your Nightmare Racing in the Mustang and Nick Deaver's in the Ferrari. So the Mustang's through 1, the Mustang's through 2, through 3, and he will take heat 1 easy. No problem at all. We swap the cars, we send them down. The Mustang the first into the curve, takes 1, takes 2, gets through the gauntlet, and it will advance 2-0. Next up, we got Mr. Mom Joe's F40 and Captain K Racing's Sprocket. The Honda Sprocket fights the F40, but the F40's trying to push and get by. Man, those cars just won't leave each other alone. But the Sprocket comes out on top and will take heat 1. Those cars had contact all the way through turn 1, all the way up through turn 2, too. So now we swap and see how it runs. They're even into turn 1. This time the Ferrari comes out ahead out of 1 and through 2. And it's going to take the second heat, tying things up 1-1, leaving the Sprocket behind. So here's the rubber heat. They're through 1. The Sprocket's ahead. He's through 1. He's through 2. He loses it 2. The Ferrari passes on the outside, and it will take it 2-1. Next heat is Wobbly Bob's Ford 150 and the flat-out 442 of DXP. So DXP's 442 is in first out of 2. Here he comes out of 3, and he will take the first heat 1-0. Wobbly Bob, a lot of upsets to get into this tournament right now. 442 is out of 1, out of 2. I don't think they're going to touch. Out of 3, they did a little bit there. Oh, he turned Wobbly Bob over, but he will advance. Next is Mr. Mom Bubba's Charger and Michael's Diecast Ford GTLM. The big Charger goes around the outside of 1, off the track, just right off the track, into the cushion, and you can see he's down. He hit the cushion, then rolled over in the floor. So we're swapping, and we're going to 2. The Ford's up 1-0. The Charger gets comes off ahead in 1 out of 2, out of 3, and if that, it looks like the Ford got up under him. Let's see. He did. The Ford got up under the Charger and pushed ahead to win 2-0. Here's our fourth and final set with Arlo's Mercedes, the highest ranked in this group. See how the cars are going to line up and race right here. And let's get rolling. Here's Arlo's Mercedes against Cut Rock Racing's Chevy Silverado. The AMG is into the corner first, but the Silverado pushes around and is taking the lead, fighting, and the Chevy's going to take a 1-0 lead over the Matchbox Mercedes. We swap lanes, and here we go. This time the Mercedes is first to the curve. Through one, no problem. Almost through two, but the Chevy goes to the downside and actually takes the lead and defeats the Mercedes 2-0. Next up, Captain K's flat out 442 and League of Speeds F40. They're pushing back and forth. The 442 ahead, but the Ferrari trying to get by him any way he can, but not able to. So the 442 will take 1-0 lead. We swap and run heat 2. This time the 442 is out again through curve 2. Looks like, he came out of curve 2 hard and just jumped off the track. If the F40 finishes, which it did, it's going to tie things up 1-0. So he came out on our cushion there. And so now we've got heat 3. Winner advances in the winner's bracket. The loser goes to the loser's bracket. Well, folks, you can rerun that yourself, but I think Mr. League of Speed helped usher him into the pillow, and he advances on in round 1. Here's the Button Boys Turbulence and Blue Line's AMG. They go around the first curve. This is a violent tournament here. The Turbulence just pushes the AMG off the course. We swap and go down the second side. Of course, that Turbulence has a low front end, so if it gets up under you, it pushes. This time, the AMG is going to fight him off and keep him tied up 1-1. So the winner here will advance and winner's bracket. The loser goes down to the loser's bracket. The Turbulence fights around the AMG. They get caught up in turn 1, and it looks like whoever comes out of 1 is going to have the advantage. The Button Boys Turbulence is going to advance on. Here's Big Rami's Dodge Murata and 734 Outlaws Ferrari F40. The Murata gets around him after 1. Oh, nice pass by the F40. He's going to take the first heat 1-0. Beautiful pass by Outlaws. Here they come down. The Murata's the first to the curve. Out of 1, out of 2. The Ferrari tried the same thing, but this time the Murata shut it off, and it's going to take the heat win. So we're tied up 1-1, and here's the rubber match. Down they come. Both tied up. They're just tied up with each other, pushing around, and they're going nowhere. So they are done for the moment. We're going to have to rerun the heat. Remember, the loser goes to the loser's bracket. Winner advances on in the winners. The Murata's around first. He gets around 2. If he can get around 3, the Ferrari's right on his butt, but he passes first. So let's jump down to the loser's bracket. These are the first 4 races. The cars we saw that have lost in the first round. It'll start out with the Carbonite against the Road Rage, and they're laid out like this. The loser of these races is done. The winner advances on, gets 5 points for winning in the loser's bracket. So here's the Carbonite. The mid-drift helps him off the course, and the mid-drift will go around 3, and he will take the first lead 1-0 as the Carbonite went head first into the pillar. So here we go for heat 2. They'll go down. The Carbonite will be ahead out of 1 here, ahead out of 2. Around 3, and Your Nightmare's Carbonite will take heat 2, tying it up 1-all. Here we go. Loser goes home. Winner keeps racing. They're out of 1, they're out of 2. Tight race. Can he hang on? The Carbonite will take it and move on. So here's H-Town Hustlers F40 against Rhett's Aston Martin Vantage. The F40 through 2 ahead. Through 3, and he will take the first heat 1-0, no problem whatsoever. Here's number 2. We do the swap. They're both even into the corner. This time the Vantage comes out ahead, out of 1, out of 2, turns around, but if he can stay, he does, and he will tie things up 1-1 going into the bumper heat. Remember, winner keeps playing, loser goes home. Here we go. The Ferrari's out of 1, blocks the Vantage going into 1, blocks him at his attempt in 2, and the F40 of H-Town Hustlers will advance on. Now here's Po' Boy Racing's F40 and Red Pill's BMW. The BMW are ahead out of turn 1. Here's out of turn 2. And if he can, no, he comes off the track. And the F40 passes, going up 1-0. So here we go again. And the Ferrari tries to push him off the track. The BMW fights back. Right now, though, the F40's in the lead. And, well, we'll look. The F40 just nudged him out. So the F40 advances 2-0. Here's the speed bump from Mr. BFG and Cut Rock Racing's Stinger. Into 1, the Stinger's ahead. Speed bump's bumping on him. Well, they're into 2, 3, and now it looks like the Kia Stinger will take heat 1 as the speed bump rolled off curve 3. So here we go, heat 2. Down they go. The Kia Stinger takes the early lead. It'll have a little trouble through 2. The Stinger's going to stay on the track, hang on, and take a 2-0 lead, leaving the speed bump. Here he comes after. So here's our second set of cars in the losers bracket. Again, the losers go home, the winners advance. So we'll look at here's the physical matchup, what the cars look like going into the last set of cars. And first up, we've got Nick Deaver's F40 and Captain K's Honda Sprocket. Here they come. The Sprocket into turn 1, comes around into turn 2, and they both have a little problem out of 2, but the Sprocket will pass and win the first heat. We swap. Yeah, 40 following the Sprocket, tries to bump him out of turn 1, but no good. The Sprocket just comes plumb off the track, and the F40 finishes and will tie things up 1-1. So here we go. We've changed again and coming into turn 1. Turn 2, it looks like the Sprocket's going to have this coming around 3. He loses control. And the Ferrari comes around him to advance and leaves the Sprocket spinning wheels. Here's Wobbly Bob's F-150 and the Charger from Mr. Bubba. He comes around, Charger through 3, and the Charger will take heat 1. There's the F-150 turned over after 2. Here they go, heat 2. The Charger comes down. He's into the curve first and out of it. Into 2 and out of it. So far, so good for the Charger, and he will advance 2-0. Next up, we've got Arlo's Mercedes 500 and Captain K's 442. They'll go to the turn, and the Mercedes just ahead comes off the track. 442 trying to push around him, just trying to bulldoze him, not able to do it. And the Mercedes will take the first heat, 1-0. Here they go, heat 2. This time the AMG is the first to the corner. He gets around it. There's 1, there's 2. He gets around. He bounces back and forth with be able to take me. He will not. And Arlo's Mercedes will advance. Here's Blue Line's Mercedes AMG and the 734 Outlaws Ferrari F40. They go into turn 1. The AMG comes out on top. 2, if he can stay on the track, he does, and he takes the first heat. So we go to heat 2. Winner advances, loser goes home. The AMG's into it. The Ferrari's fighting hard. AMG will not let him have it. They finally settle down, and it looks like the AMG is going to finish first and win the heat 2-0. So now we're back to the winner's bracket. There's Po' Boy and DXP Miss BFGs, and then the Rivera Racing, Red Pill, Scale, and Sandy Mac. Here's how they'll match up physically just to see them. And first up, we got Po' Boy's Chevy Silverado and DXP's Ferrari F40. Man, I have all kinds of issues with saying Chevy Silverado. The F40's out of 1, way ahead, out of 2, out of 3, and he will take the first heat, 1-0. Do the changeover. Po' Boy in the inside with his Chevy. He's going to come in advantage out of 1. He goes through 2, through 3, and he's going to tie it up 1-0. So DXP fighting hard to try and keep in this 1-1 right now. This time the Chevy comes out of 2 ahead, going into 3 out of 3 ahead, and the Chevy Silverado will advance. Next up, we've got Miss BFG's Fairmont and Miss BFG's F40. So we got teammates racing each other. Doesn't keep them from racing, though. They're turning around. Are they going to get through? No, they are not. So we're going to have to rerun heat 1. One car will advance in the winners. One car will move to the losers. Right now the Ferrari's ahead out of 2. Turns around out of 3, but he still takes the finish line and is up 1-0. Here's race 2. Fairmont the first to the corner. Unmolested, the Fairmont moves pretty good. And he's going to take heat 2, so we're going to tie it up 1-0 as we go into race 3. Here they go. They tangle a little bit. The Fairmont on top at the moment. Comes out of 2 into 3, turns, and it looks like the Fairmont will be pushed across, yes, by the F40, so the Fairmont advances. So here's Rivera Racing's Dodge Murata and Sandy Mac's Jaguar. XJ220 into the curve. The Murata's out first. Through 2. Coming down through 3, and the Murata will take a 1-0 lead over the Jaguar. Change lanes. Heat 2. Here we go. Oh, those Muratas they jump out so quick. Out of 2. Out of 3, and the Murata will advance 2-0. Next up, Red Pill Racing's Carbonite and Scale Racing's Solaire CX4. Carbonite's out of 1, comes around out of 2, gets through the track all right out of 3, and he will take the first heat. 1-0, swap lanes, heat 2. Down we go. Once again, Red Pill to the curve first. Through 1, through 2, through 3, and he will advance 2-0. So here's the other side of the winner's bracket. Your Nightmare Racing has this 67 Mustang and the Ferrari, and then here's our part 2 of the winner's bracket. So here's how the cars line up visually. And let's get to it. Here's Your Nightmare Racing's Mustang and Mr. Mom Joe's F40. Mustang comes around. He's to the corner. Takes 1. Around 2. So far so good for him. Around 3. And get a little push from the Ferrari, but he goes up 1-0. Change lanes. And here we go down 2. That's a second there, and round 2. So far, so good for him. Around 3, and he will take it 2-0 and advance. Next up, DXP's 442, Michael's Diecast Racing's Ford GTLM. The 442 is out of 1 ahead, out of 2. Stays true, he will take the first heat 1-0, which he does. Going into heat 2. The 442 out of the first curve. Around out of 2. Comes down around out of 3, and he will advance 2-0 on. Next up, we've got Cut Rock Racing's Chevy Silverado and League of Speed's Ferrari F40. The F40 to the curve first, comes around. Silverado pushing on him. They both go into 3, come out, and the Ferrari will take the first heat 1-0. Do the swap, here we come. This time the Chevy's to the curve first. He comes out ahead in a 1 into 2. He turns a flip off the track. And now the Ferrari, if he finishes, he will advance. Here's Button Boy's Turbulence and Big Rami's Dodge Murata. First into the curves, the Murata comes out. Oh, nice pass by Turbulence out of 2. Going into 2. And nice pass by the Murata out of 3. So 2 good passes. Puts the Murata up 1-0. We swap, and here we go. This time they push and they push. The Turbulence gets by like he did the first time, and the Murata gets by like he did the second time. And if the Murata backs through, he will back through and win 2-0. So this is round 2 of the losers bracket. As you can see, they're set up this way. We'll get started. Mr. Mom Joe's F40 against Your Nightmare Racing's Carbonite. Going to be a good race, I think. The Carbonite comes out of 1 ahead, comes out of 2. Car's bouncing back and forth out of 3, and Your Nightmare takes a 1-0 lead over Mr. Mom Joe. And here we come again. This time the Ferrari's out of turn 1. Ahead out of turn 2, the Carbonite comes off the track, and the Ferrari will tie things up 1-0. Or 1-all, I'm sorry. So here we go. Rubber heat. Loser goes home. Advancer gets 5 points and advances. The Carbonite's out of 1. Out of 2. Comes around 3, and he will advance 2-1. Next up is Michael's Diecast Ford GTLM and H-Town Hustlers Ferrari F40. Down the track they start. F40 is ahead in the curve 1, gets around, comes around curve 2, curve 3, and he will slide across the finish line to take the first heat. Here's our second heat. Both cars tied into turn 1. The Ford is blocking the Ferrari, and no one's going to finish this heat, so we have to rerun it. Right now, Ferrari up 1-0. Into turn, the Ferrari squeezes out ahead, out of 2. If he can stay where he's at, he will advance and win 2-0. Next up is the Chevy Silverado of Cut Rock Racing and Po' Boys Ferrari F40. The F40 way ahead into 1. Through 2, no problem. Bounces off the track a little bit through 3. He turns, and the Silverado makes a high pass on the high side to take a 1-0 lead. The Ferrari with a mistake in turn 3, and the Chevy takes advantage. Now he's ahead out of 1, out of 2. If he can stay where he's at, he will advance 2-0 over the Ferrari. Next up, Button Boys Turbulence and Cut Rock's Kia Stinger. The Stinger first into the curve, comes out slightly ahead, and he's not going to slow down and let Turbulence get anywhere near him in the heat 1, and he will take it 1-0. I think that the key is if you get tied up with the Turbulence, you are losing that match. This time the Turbulence is through turn 1 ahead, through turn 2, bounces a little bit out of 3, and he will tie things up 1-0. Here's our rubber heat. Both of them into turn 1 the same. They squeeze and squeeze. Turbulence tries to turn the Kia around. He does, but the Kia stays in front and will fight and win 2-1. The Kia will advance. And we've got 2 F40s. One of them is DXPs, as you can see here, and the other one belongs to Nick Devers. So we've got DXP on the bottom of one, or he put that on there. So we'll monitor this very closely. Down the track they go. Looks like Dick Devers is going to come out in 1. They bounce off each other. This time DXP bounces off and around him, and he will take the first heat. We will verify that that's who is the car that finished. DXP. So he got the first heat. So we swap the cars and run the second heat. Down they go. DXP's in the lead here out of 2. Out of 3, and he will advance 2-0 over Nick Devers. We're just doing a double check and make sure, and that is DXP. So he advances on. Next up, Miss BFG's F40 and Mr. Mom Bubba's Charger. Down the track they go. The Charger's in first. Comes out of 1 through 2. Comes out and just drives right off the track. And the Ferrari F40 is going to take lane 1. We've got that side of the track raised to try to keep that from happening, but it's not stopping some of the heavier cars from just driving right over the top of the track. The F40 will take it 2-0 over the Charger. Next up, tie 1 on Sandy Mack's Jaguar and Arlo Racing's Mercedes. The Mercedes is the first to the curve and through. Well, here's a nice pass by the Jaguar. Cannot make it. AMG cuts him off, and he will end up winning the first heat 1-0. So Arlo's up 1-0. Heat 2. The Mercedes the first to the curve and around. And he's going to walk off, it looks like. And, well, no, here comes the Jag. Oh, the Jag goes under. Can't go through, so he goes under and takes it 1-1 tie. And here's our rubber match. Nice move by Sandy. Round 2, good race. AMG is going to keep and win 2-1. Next up, we got Scale Racing's Solex CX4 in blue line and his Mercedes AMG. So they get tangled up here, and it doesn't look like anybody's going to win the first heat, so we're going to rerun it. The Mercedes the first to turn 1, and the Solex just basically, that low nose on him gets him through 2 and 3. He just helped the AMG over on his side, and the Soul Airs are up 1-0. Change lanes, race 2. This time the Mercedes again, the first to the curve. Solex goes to the lower side, tries to pass 9. This time the AMG returns the favor and helps the Solex off onto the cushion. And we've got a 1-1 match, and here we go. Winner goes on, loser goes home. Bumpity, bumpity, bumpity. The Solar gets by, and he is going to... No, we all know. Wait a minute. He backs across and will win the heat 2-1 and advance on. We're going to stay in the loser's bracket, go to round 3. Here's the layout as you can see it. And then here's the layout of the cars. First up, we're going to start out with the Carbonite of Your Nightmare Racing and H-Town Hustlers F40. Down they go. The F40, the first to curve 1. The Carbonite comes off the track. And the F40 will take the first heat 1-0. Turn around. I think he's... Oh, here's Carbonite got back on. And he's going to finish second. But 1-0 for the Ferrari. We change lanes and race. Down they come. The Carbonite beats the F40 out of the curve. He's out of 2. Into 3 out of 3. And he is going to bounce hard but finish and tie things up 1-1. Winner keeps racing. Loser goes home. Here we go. The F40 this time cuts the Carbonite off in turn 1, comes around 2, cuts the Carbonite off again, cuts him off a third time, and the F40 is going to take the win. Next up, we got Cut Rock Racing's Chevy Silverado and Cut Rock Racing's Kia Stinger. So he's going to put himself out of the tournament one way or another here. The Stinger in... Oh, well, the Stinger was in first. Mr. Silverado helped him off the track. So now we're swapping and going on. Here's heat 2. The Stinger slightly ahead. Chevy pushes around to the heavier model, just pushing around. Stinger tries to get by, can't. Chevy Silverado advances 2-0. Here's DXP and Miss BFG. Both of them have F40s. Into turn 1, Miss BFG's red F40 is in the lead through 2. Comes around through 3, and they will take the first heat in 1-0. Change lanes, heat 2. DXP now with the gold one, of course. Down they come. Miss BFG cuts him off. She's going to get through 2. Almost comes off the track. Stays on. Turns around. And holds on to win 2-0. Next up, we got Arlo Racing's Mercedes and Scale Racing's Solar CX4. Down the track. Nice pass by the Solar. Down low. If he can stay on, he's going to take the first heat 1-0. Here comes the Mercedes in afterwards. Change lanes. Heat 2. Here we go. AMG, first one of the curve, comes out. Solar staying low. They come around and... Oh, nice pass by the Solar again. He will advance. So back to the winner's bracket. This is round 3. As you can see, Po Boy's Silverado against Miss BFG's Ford Fairmont. And then the second down there. So here's the cars as they're laid out. These are the last 8 left in the winner's bracket. So the loser will go to the loser's bracket out of these races. Here's the Silverado and the Fairmont. Mrs. BFG's Fairmont is not going to let the Chevy touch her. Through 3, and she's going to win the first heat 1-0. I think that's the key to beating the Chevys. You've got to beat them down the track. This time, the Fairmont goes into turn 1. The Chevy gets there. Oh, nice pass on the inside by the Fairmont. Oh, but she slows on the track, and now the Silverado gets around, and it will take the heat, leaving the Fairmont up on its edge. So we're tied up 1-0. Here we go. This time it looks like the Fairmont's going to get to the curve first. Through 1, through 2, through 3, and she will advance 2-1 over the Chevy Silverado. Next up, we got the Murata and the Carbonite. Rivera Racing's Murata and Red Pill's Carbonite. Oh, just comes off the track. The Murata's just got to stay on to take heat 1. It will. And it will take a 1-0 lead. But he came off on the table. He didn't even make it to the floor. So we swap, and here we go. The Murata in 1 out of 2. The push being pushed hard by the Carbonite. Carbonite comes off hard and off the floor, and the Murata will advance on 2-0. Here's that 67 Mustang from Your Nightmare Racing in DXP's 442. Into the first curve, the 442 has the advantage out of 2, out of 3, and he will take the first heat 1-0 over the Mustang, who got turned over coming out of 2. Swap lanes, heat 2. Down we come. Both cars into the corner together. The Mustang comes out ahead, out of 2, hanging on, out of 3, And the Mustang will tie things up 1-1. So this is the rubber heat. Winner stays in the winner's bracket. Loser goes to the loser's bracket. The 442 comes out ahead, and it will take 2 and 3, and it will advance, sending the Mustang down. Here's League of Speeds F40 and Big Rami's Dodge Murata. Down they go. Oh, the F40 taking off early. Through 1 through 2, now through 3, and the F40 will take the early lead, 1-0. Murata stuck up on turn 2, so we swap lanes and we go. Here's lane 2. Down they come. The Murata to the inside takes the early lead out of 1, comes out of 2. Ferrari trying to catch him. She's going to squeeze him out and take heat 2. So it's tied up 1-1. We swap lanes, and here we go. The Murata this time gets out of 1 ahead of 2. She's blocking the Ferrari at every chance, and she basically rebuffs him, and she is going to go on and take the heat 2-1. Back down to the loser's bracket. This is round 4. Here's the first 2 races laid here, and the next 2 races. Here's how the cars are going to look like lined up, so you know what's going on. Pull Boys Chevy Silverado and H-Town Hustlers F40. Here they go. F40 way ahead out of turn 1. Comes around turn 2, loses it. The Chevy Silverado goes to the high side. Wow, he is flying. And the Silverado will take heat 1. They swap. Here we go. This time, the Silverado squeezes the Ferrari out of 1. 2, if he can stay put, the Ferrari looked to make a charge but lost it, and the Chevrolet will advance 2-0. Next up is Red Pill Racing and his Carbonite taking on a Chevy Silverado from Cut Rock. Silverado is doing their best to hang in here. The Carbonite squeezes him, and then the Chevy gives him a help off to the pillar. The Silverado will take heat 1 with no problems. Here we go, swap them up, heat 2. Down they go. Got a pillar down there because when we did the testing, that's the spot where everybody came off at. It looks like the Carbonite's going to win heat 2, staying intact, so we're tied up 1-1. Winner keeps racing, loser goes home. They're tied up. Man, they're trying hard. The Chevy does take the lead, coming out of 2, comes around 3. Oh, no, the Carbonite passes him. Red Pill's Carbonite advances. Next up, here's Your Nightmare's 67 Mustang and Miss BFG's F40. Some good racing going on here. The F40 around out of turn 1, out of turn 2. They're both jumping around and bouncing around, but the F40 is going to stay in first and take heat 1. Swap up lane. Here's heat 2. This time the Mustang comes out of the curve ahead. He's out of 2 ahead. The Ferrari right on his behind. Not going to let him pass, though, so we're all tied up 1-1. Winner continues to race. Here we go, heat 3. The Mustang's out of heat 3, comes out of 1, comes out of 2, comes out of 3. If he can stay on, he will advance 2-1. So here's League of Speeds F40 and Scale Racing Channel's Solaire CX4. This will be the last of the loser bracket for right now, I think. So here we go. Down they go. The CX4 takes the early lead. The Ferrari passes him on the high side out of 3, and League of Speed Ferrari will go up 1-0. Change lanes, and we're off. Down they go. It looks like the Ferrari is going to try early to cut off the Solaire, and he does. Solaire's off the track. Ferrari's going to win 2-0. Moving on, leaving the Solaire up on its side edge there. Put it on the side when it had to. So we'll go to the loser's bracket. Staying in the loser's bracket, here's the Chevy Silverado of Pull Boy and the Carbonite of Red Pill. Here they come into 1. Wow, Carbonite way ahead. He doesn't want to be touched as he goes through 2. If he can make it through 3 and finish, which he does advance, or he leads 1-0. Change the cars. Here we come. Into 2, Carbonite gets around him. He's through 2. Stays away from that edge in 3, and he's going to advance 2-0 in the loser's bracket over the Chevy Silverado, which got stuck out of 2. Next up, Your Nightmare Racing's 67 Mustang and League of Speeds F40. Let's see who's going to advance. The Mustang is the first to the curve. Out of one, out of two, he loses it. High side, Ferrari passes. League of Speed's going to take the first heat 1-0 over the Mustang. Change lanes. Race heat 2. Down we go. This time the Mustang's out ahead, goes through 1. Mustang's through 2. The Ferrari behind him, but unable to catch. And the Mustang will pass the finish line on the track, so it's tied up 1-1. Here we go. Into turn 1, the Mustang's ahead. The Ferrari right on his tail. Here's 2. Mustang almost goes off, does not. Comes around. What a pass by the Ferrari at the end. Nice move. Back to the winner's bracket. Only 4 cars left. Here's Miss BFG's Fairmont and Rivera Racing's Dodge Murata. Here they go into turn 1. The Murata's got the advantage. Comes off on the side of the track, but the Fairmont passes on the low side. And the Fairmont will take a 1-0 lead on the Murata after it gets hung up on the side of the track. We swap lanes. Here's heat 2. They're even going into the one. The Fairmont has the advantage. Murata right on her tail. But she loses it out of 2, and Miss BFG's Fairmont will advance on. Here's our second race. DXP's 442 and Big Rami's Dodge Murata. Here they go into the first curve. The 442's ahead. Squeezes out of 2 ahead, turns around, and the Murata makes a nice move to the inside and will take the first heat over the 442 as it loses control. Swap lanes, heat 2, here we go. This time the 442's out of 1 ahead and slows the Murata down, and if it doesn't make a mistake, it will take heat 2 and tie things up 1-1 over the Dodge Murata, which it left over on the side of the track. So here we go, folks. Winner goes to the loser bracket. Winner stays in the top side. 442 fighting, pushing gets the Murata, and neither one of them are going to get through this heat. We're going to have to re-race it. Tied up 1-0. The 442 this time gets ahead, so far ahead the Murata can't touch her. And the 442 is going to win this and move on to the next bracket. So we'll show the cars advancing on. Here's Miss BFG's and then the DXP. And folks, those are our last 2 undefeated cars. So we're going to race this and then we'll race to the end. This is Miss BFG's Fairmont and DXP's 442. Into turn 1, the Fairmont gets turned around. Don't think she's going to win a battle against the 442 weight-wise, but she does win the first heat. So her best bet's to get the heck away from it, but who knows? There they go. They're going to tangle a little more. The 442 around 2. He loses it. The 442 comes around the inside of the Fairmont. So we're tied up 1-1. Here we go. Into heat 1, turn 1. The 442 squeezes the Fairmont out of 2. The Fairmont comes off the track, and the 442 is going to advance on as the last undefeated car. So we are going to race the losers bracket out. There are 4 cars, actually 5 remaining, counting the Fairmont. But here's the 2 races you're about to see. We'll start with Big Rami's Murata against Red Pill Racing's Carbonite. Here they go. The Carbonite is out of curve 1, comes up and out of curve 2, hits hard on the track, out of curve 3, and the Carbonite will take heat 1. Swap the lanes. Here we go. This time the Murata gets out of 1 ahead. The Carbonite tries to squeeze to the inside, does squeeze to the inside, but will not finish the heat. So we'll re-race heat 2. Right now Carbonite's up 1-0. The Murata again gets out of turn 1, out of turn 2, trying to stay away from the Carbonite, and it will take heat 2. So we're tied up 1-1. Loser's done. Winner gets one more chance. The Murata comes off out of 2 ahead. Same thing as a while ago. The Carbonite right on the tail comes off the track, and the Murata will advance 2-1. Next up, we've got the Dodge Murata of Rivera Racing versus League of Speed's F40. This time the Murata's out of front, out of 2, turns around. Ferrari tries to gain some ground, but cannot catch up. Murata takes the first heat 1-0. Swap lanes. Heat 2. The Murata comes out. We'll get out of turn 1 ahead. Here's turn 2. turn 3, and the Murata will advance on 2-0. So here we got the two Muratas are racing. As you can see, there's Rivera on the bottom of both because one's big rummies. The Rivera racing model is the one I put the 1 on. And I did that. So here we go. The winner of this gets the Miss BFG's Fairmont. So the Murata's ahead and wins. Let's see which one did win. That's got the 1, so that's Rivera Racing's. Murata is up 1-0. We swap lanes and we race the cars. Down they come, out of 1. They fight with each other. They're through 2, through 3, and let's check this Murata out, see which one it is. The other one's left sideways on the track. This is the Murata with the 1, so that is Rivera Racing. So we're in the finals of the losers bracket. This is Miss BFG's Ford Fairmont and Rivera Racing's Murata. The winner of this race will face the DXP 442 for the championship. The Murata out ahead out of 2, bouncing back and forth. Here comes the Fairmont, going to squeeze by, and the Fairmont's going to take heat 1. Here they go. Cars equally matched in speed and weight. Wheelbase, the whole thing. Here's the Fairmont ahead of 2s, does a spin. It's going to stay ahead, and if it can, it's going to finish and go on to win 2-0. Here it is, folks. It's what it's all about. We've worked our way through. We have the DXP 442 is undefeated. The Fairmont has lost only once to the DXP. So here we go. The Fairmont has to win the first match to force another match. Here we go. Down they go. The 442 gets through 1 ahead, pushes the Fairmont off of the track. And if he can maneuver, and 3 he does, so DXP's 442 will win the first heat, leaving the Fairmont on its side, or on the wheels. Change lanes. Heat 2. Down we go. DXP through 1, through 2, through 3, and he will advance and win the tournament. Great job by DXP's Flat Out 442, which did not lose a race. So, folks, check out the next video for final standings. We'll catch you later.
This has been a Big Poppy Racing production.